Michigan FFA, please join me in welcoming Jana Overwig and Stephanie Kuhn for a very special introduction.
Hello, my name is Jana Mackenzie Overway, and I had the privilege of meeting Dakota a few years ago while we were both still in high school. I was 3 years older and 2 grades above her, and we were in the same Spanish class. She later told me that I had intimidated her, so she decided to consistently compliment me until I became her friend. That didn't take long because we have so much in common. This girl is my soulmate. We quickly became best friends, the kind that clean each other's rooms and sit in silence together, and I got to know the awe-inspiring person that she is. She has all the common desired qualities, like having the best sense of humor and being an incredible friend, but that isn't what makes her special. Dakota is the single strongest, most resilient person that I know. I have never met someone who has gone through as much as she has and turned out to be such an intelligent, capable, and compassionate individual. I genuinely believe that she has the power to accomplish anything she puts her mind to, no matter the size. Her passion for FFA shines through her every word when she speaks of her duties, and although I don't really understand what she is talking about half the time, she makes it impossible not to become invested. She truly cares about each and every one of you, and I can tell you that she has loved her time as a state officer this year. It is my honor to introduce you to It is my honor to introduce you to your 2022-2023 Michigan Region 2 State Vice President, Dakota Spink.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Kuhn. About a decade ago, my family and I attended National Convention for my son's competition. I had never been to one, and of course Peyton had not either. We were amazed by the sea of blue jackets. We occupied our time reading the back of jackets to see how many states we could find, and listening and watching the kids make friends with each other. It was quite an experience for a little girl who didn't have a clue about FFA until then. On our long ride home, Peyton announced she couldn't wait until she got into 8th grade so she could be in FFA and go to that convention and one day wear one of those jackets that says association on the back. Over the years, Peyton has done a lot. She's a helper by nature. To name some things, she excels at showing animals at our county fair and mentors the younger kids there. She helps at community events as well. She also helps deliver and care for the goats and other jobs on our small family farm. She is always willing to help a friend in need or take an extra shift at the dairy farm if she's needed and available. In her FFA career, Peyton has accomplished a lot as well. She earned high rankings in broiler contests and poultry individually and with her team, and also with her ag issues teams. She was the treasurer and president of her chapter and was the 2019 Creed-speaking state champion. One of my favorite memories from her state officer time was a story she told about a chapter visit. There was a young lady who looked very confused after their day's presentations and events. Peyton had figured out that the girl spoke mostly Spanish and didn't quite understand. So she proceeded to explain things to her in Spanish as well as she could. The girl's face just lit up with joy. She was so very appreciative and thought it was so very kind and special for Peyton to take the time to do that for her. I was in tears after that story because she said, "Mom, I did it. I fulfilled my reason for being a state officer, to help kids understand what FFA is all about." Her dad, brother, I, and our extended family and friends are so very proud of her and cannot wait to see what the future holds for her. She has a huge heart, and her smile and laughter are infectious. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present your 2022-2023 State Sentinel, wearing that blue jacket with association on the back she dreamt of since she was a little girl. Peyton Kuhn.
Every time I walk out of the house, put on another face just to blend in with the crowd, so nobody sees me. You would never believe me. I tell you that I'm whole, but I'm still healing. I tell you that I'm happy, but I'm grieving. Thought I was a fighter, I'm still in the fire.
But we miss you very much, and we need to know, we want to ask, how are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Our family's been through a lot.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing... Despite her celebrity status, what we just saw was Tamara Mowry taking a moment to be authentic with herself and being vulnerable enough to shed tears when she realized she truly wasn't okay.
What emotions are we bottling up and keeping hidden away? Although it's not an easy thing to do, sometimes taking a moment to be like Tamira, to acknowledge and release those emotions are exactly what we need.
When I was younger, I was fascinated by dairies. Never in a million years did I think I would work on a farm. But one day, my dad returned home from an equipment auction with a phone number and a potential job offer for me at a local dairy. I remember waking up the morning of my first shift and replaying the excitement in my mind. This is it. I start my first job today. The long-awaited time had come. I hopped out of my car with my ragged jeans, stained shirt, and oldest pair of muck boots. Immediately, I was hit with that all too familiar dairy farm smell. I couldn't help but switch between nervousness and excitement. Before I knew it, we got started. My first shift consisted of milking cows on the rotary wheel. And let me say, it was an experience unlike anything I had ever done before. The wheel moved a lot faster than it looked from a distance, and my arms quickly became tired from trying to hook the milkers onto the cows. It felt like everything that could have went wrong did, over and over again. About 3 weeks in, I remember coming home to my mom crying, saying, "I don't think I can do this anymore." I know milking wasn't everything that I expected, but I told myself I couldn't give up yet. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. My boss, my parents, myself. I was held to a higher standard than quitting when things got tough. My mom stopped my thoughts dead in their tracks as she said to me, "Don't give up yet. You're new to the experience. It's a good place for you to be. Keep trying." After hearing her say those words, I knew I couldn't give up yet. For the next couple months, I would head straight to the locker room, put on my work clothes, work boots, and a fake smile just to get the job done. As if the thought of junior year itself wasn't scary enough, it felt like I was stuck between focusing on my studies or becoming a failure I feared by having to quit my job. Would I be an unreliable employee or a stressed out student? When my boss later asked about my availability to work, 3 months of stress exploded. I remember my heart racing as I sent the text, "I've been thinking, and I'm not sure that I can handle both milking and school at the same time." What I didn't know was that my boss's first priority was her employees' happiness and success. She scheduled around school and extracurriculars and gave me a new position in cat feeding, which I loved. Since the day I took that step to be honest with myself, I learned exactly what I needed. And by listening to my emotions and accepting what I need in order to feel authentic, I learned to love my job and created invaluable relationships and memories with my coworkers.
It's easy to get so caught up in creating an identity for ourselves and how we want others to perceive us that our struggles get put on a back burner. Are we honest with ourselves when we're not in a good spot emotionally and admit that our struggles are becoming too much? Creating that desired external identity holds us back from being authentic with ourselves internally, opening the door for us to fake it till we make it. We do this in fear of others judging us for failing or being imperfect, but allowing ourselves to be honest about our struggles doesn't make us a failure. The emotions we feel do not stop us from achieving success or making relationships, but ignoring our authentic needs does. Being honest with ourselves is hard, but we have to realize what our emotional needs are so we can take care of ourselves in order to move forward in life.
Let's take a second to think about the last time someone asked us the simple question of, how are you doing? More often than not, we respond with a simple good as we reciprocate the question. But how often does a response of good actually show how we're feeling? When we're creating that desired external identity for ourselves, it can be so easy to push our emotions to the side without even realizing it. But the first step we can take to be internally authentic with ourselves is to realize exactly what we need. We can do this by taking time to be alone with our emotions and asking ourselves, how am I really doing? It's so easy to surround ourselves with music, social media, and other people that we don't take the time to be alone with our emotions, making it easier to fake how we feel. Once we have that moment of transparency, we can find ways to challenge ourselves, to find solutions for the way we feel or the conflicts that are bothering us. We have many great resources available at our fingertips. Writing out a planner, keeping a journal, or having an accountability partner are great ways to help ourselves stay on track with what we need. The way we stay on track will look different for everyone. However, if we find a way to do so, we can make things even a little less overwhelming going forward.
Opening up to others and being vulnerable can be tough, but not impossible. Let me tell you about a time I thought that it was. Growing up with a single mom, she led the example of self-reliance. She worked 2 jobs day and night to provide for us, and even after she fell in love, had my little brother, and had some health scares, she prioritized being independent and marched to the beat of her own drum. Through the example my mom set, I saw firsthand that you didn't always need help. If you put in the effort and had the determination, you could do just about anything by yourself. Like mother, like daughter, I also valued being independent. I always said no to help, not on my classwork, and definitely not with my emotions. My motto was, it's fine, I got it. For a long time, I kept up my grades and only relied on myself during my times of doubt. But as high school went on, my mom started to get more sick. I was struggling, but I couldn't show it. I kept myself busy by taking harder classes and signing up for more things. The busier I was, the less time I had to worry about my emotions. But the longer I did it, the more hurt I felt. Before I knew it, it was the beginning of my last semester in high school. And I was still keeping myself distracted, but the emotional bubble I created was about to burst. One late night in early February, I was woken up to this. When I looked at my screen, my stomach dropped. She was frantically yelling that something happened to Mom, but I could barely hear, and finally she was able to say our mom suffered another ruptured brain aneurysm and was currently on life support. I immediately go numb. I can't think, can't speak. I'm just sitting there, empty. That next morning, we get to my mom's side, but we learn there's nothing we can do. So we say our goodbyes, and then we leave. Without my mom, without my support system, and without my best friend. I was so numb to the world that the only thought in my head was, this really just happened to me, and I have no idea what to do next. My entire world was falling apart, but I had trained myself to be independent. I pushed the emotions back and tried not to show others that I was struggling. I didn't really go to school, and there was not a single part of me that cared about my homework. I would just sit there and zone out, oftentimes leaving halfway through the day. But as time went on, I couldn't do it anymore. I was struggling. And people would encourage me to get caught up and offer to help me out with whatever they could. And I did try, but it wasn't easy. One day, I was sitting, just staring at my missing work with the reality of my grades staring back. As I shut my laptop, something in my head clicked. Dakota, I know you don't care about anything now, but you can't live like this forever. You have so much potential. So, I reached out, something I had never done before. I sat down with my best friend and had one of the hardest conversations of my life. But I knew she could come from a place of understanding. And she did. We talked about what was going on, and it felt like she had taken 15 tons off of my shoulders. As I realized how freeing it was, I talked to another friend about school, and he helped me realize that getting my grades back up wasn't out of reach. As I talked with more and more people, I felt safer being vulnerable with my teachers, counselors, and role models. I realized it was helping both them and myself understand what I was feeling. And they were able to give great advice, support, and love when I needed it most.
We have all reached out to someone for help at some point. Whether a school project, homework, or asking for feedback for FFA contests, we rely on the people we trust to help us with the tasks that are difficult. But how come when we're struggling or we're facing a tough circumstance, we choose not to reach out to those people and face it alone? We rationalize away our vulnerability by thinking, I'll be a burden, or they'll think I failed because I'm struggling. There are many things we feel like we can't share with others because of the judgment or stigma surrounding these topics. However, the longer we keep these emotions hidden, the more it affects us and the things we do. More often than not, someone we trust will have gone through similar situations and emotions. Growing up does not mean holding everything in because you think it can. It's about reaching out to people and valuing them enough to let them know how they can help you.
The author Maya Angelou once said, "There's no greater agony than bearing the weight of an untold story inside of you." Avoiding that agony starts by finding someone you would feel comfortable talking to. This could be parents, siblings, friends, teachers, counselors, professionals, or anyone you would feel comfortable being vulnerable with. It's okay to pick and choose what you share with who you share, Being vulnerable doesn't mean we have to be 100% transparent. You don't have to share every detail of your life with everyone, but finding the right person to be intentionally vulnerable with is key. When starting these conversations, asking questions like, would you be able to give me advice on this? Or, is it okay if I just ranted about this for a minute? If you need to test the waters a little bit further, talking about one small detail. For example, when I started my conversations, it would be, I've really had a hard time catching up on this classwork I missed. And seeing how the other person takes it is always a good way to start the conversation. And we'll let you know if they're ready to listen to you. I know not everyone has the same story I do, but sharing a detail about what's going on in your life is a good opener to the beginning of a vulnerable conversation.
When we think about being honest with ourselves and being able to be vulnerable with others, these ideas often fall together in unison. More often than not, creating that desired external identity is what's holding us back from being authentic with ourselves internally. Once we're honest with ourselves and vulnerable, that's when we can learn what we need to move forward in our personal health, career, and fulfillment. We can't let the fear of emotion and struggle hold us back.
Once we've been authentic with ourselves, we can think about how to be vulnerable with others, because we all deserve people in our corners cheering us on. But it's up to us to decide when we need them to cheer. Being vulnerable will help to keep us afloat mentally and help us feel seen and heard, even in our darkest moments. Don't bear the weight of having an untold story inside of you. There will always be someone willing to listen if we take the initiative to reach out.
Michigan FFA, let yourself feel
to let yourself heal.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all? And if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? How am I gonna be an optimist about this? We were caught up and lost in all of our vices. In your heart.
Dakota, where to start? Even though I forgot that we met before state office, you bring such a vibe to the team that can't be replicated. From your willingness to throw down with any of us at any time to having a dance party with no music, you hold our team together so well, and I couldn't imagine it without you. Michigan FFA, our Region 2 State Vice President, Dakota Spink.
Close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing changed at all?
Peyton, it's crazy that I just met you a little over a year ago today. Thank you for all the smiles that light up the room, and your videos updating us on your cows from work. I will always appreciate the love and kindness that you give to everybody and everybody on this team. You are the glue, and I will always love you as a teammate and a friend. Michigan FFA, our state sentinel, Peyton Kuhn. So much.